Hey everyone, welcome back to On Purpose, the number one health podcast in the world. Thanks to each and every one of you that come back every week to listen, learn, and grow. Now, you know that I love sitting down with friends, people that I've connected with, people that I share space and energy with on this podcast. But sometimes something funny happens. I have a guest on who I feel I know. I've connected with them several times, digitally, virtually, but never physically. And then finally, when I get to experience their energy in person, I just go, yeah, this is my kind of person. And today's guest is someone that feels just like that. Her name, of course, is Vanessa Hudgens, an American actress, singer, entrepreneur, and producer. After making her feature film debut in 13, she rose to fame portraying Gabriela Montez in the High School Musical film series, which brought her significant mainstream success. Since the release of her studio albums and the High School Musical franchise, Vanessa has focused on her acting career. She's appeared in films like Band Slam, Beastly, Sucker Punch, Journey to The Mysterious Island, Spring Breakers, The Princess Switch, Second Act, and Bad Boys for Life. She also launched her beverage business, Cali Water, a line of cactus water, and her own skincare brand, No Beauty. Welcome to the show, my dear friend and becoming a deeper friend, Vanessa Hudgens, and our beautiful Darla.
Thank you from me and both Darla. You're so good at this. Wow.
No, I meant all of it. You've had this, I grew up watching High School Musical because of my sister.
Okay.
So I have a sister that's 4.5 years younger than me.
Yeah.
She loves High School Musical. So I watched it through her lens.
Yeah, I love that.
And
a connecting thing for the two of you. I love
yeah,
that.
exactly. And then obviously we connected through Joe. And our Zen Zone.
Yeah, which is so funny.
Which is just amazing what Joe started and built.
It's so incredible. I'm like, if it wasn't for that, I never would have met Cole.
I know, yes, and then
I'm like, hallelujah.
So you are officially giving me and Joe the credit now.
Yes, completely. Actually, it wouldn't be a thing if it wasn't for you guys.
For Joe, Joe, you can take all the credit. You deserve it. Darla, I just do want to acknowledge you are the first ever dog to appear on Purpose.
She jumped up here and seated herself like a human.
I know. I'm so grateful she's here. She has such a beautiful energy too, and I'm so happy she's with us.
She's a little lady. I was told that she was a French girl in a past life.
Oh, that's very cool.
I know.
Well, this is the thing, Vanessa, that, I think when people view you from afar, of course, you have this amazing career. You do an incredible job, whether you're hosting, whether you're acting, whether you're starring. I thought you were awesome in Bad Boys for Life.
Thank you.
I love the movie, of course. Just how your roles and those characters evolved into the franchise was amazing. You're doing so many incredible things with Cali Water, and I know we've got so many other things to talk about. But I think for me, what got me deeply intrigued in you and wanting this conversation with you is the conversations we had through Zen Zone. And so for those of you who don't know what Zen Zone is, this is something that Joe Jonas had the idea for at the beginning of the pandemic. And you can tell me how you heard about it, because I don't know how
I'll tell you my side.
Yeah. So Joe reached out to me and he said to me that we did this meditation as part of a charity event for the We Foundation. And I was asked to teach meditation. Me and Joe had never met before. We were on this live. I lead this meditation and Joe said he had a great time. We got introduced over text. He texted me and said, hey, we're getting together with my friends this Saturday. It's the pandemic. I'd love for you to teach a meditation. I was like, sure. I thought we'd do it once. We've now done it every week for 75 weeks. We've had a bit of a hiatus for the last couple of months.
Yeah.
And he would just invite his friends. And I hadn't even met him, let alone everyone. That's where I met you.
Yeah.
And for anyone who doesn't know, I lead a meditation, but then I open it out to a beautiful group of people to reflect, share their insights. And we did this every week during the pandemic. And when you'd come on and you'd talk and share your reflection, I was just like, I had no idea that Vanessa had this like intentional, mindful practice in her life. And that was so endearing and intriguing. But tell us about how you discovered Zen Zone. And,
me and Alexandra Shipp were both working on Tick Tick Boom.
Yes.
And we had the rehearsal space, and then we had to shut down production because of COVID and locking down and everything. And when we finally got back to it, it was in September, like pre-vaccine. So we were in like a bubble. But she was like, I've been doing this meditation. I think that you would really enjoy it. And I'm like, so down. Love a meditation. And I got on there and I was just like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. And your meditation that you led was so like grounding and centering and just like fulfilling for my soul. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then I remember I got added to the group chat, and then we got sent the Zoom for the next Zoom. Everyone sending confirmations of themselves, like Joe's sending one, Wilmer sends one, I send one. And then I thought someone was making a joke by sending a baseball player sliding onto a base and lifting his head and going like, so I was like, hot, and responded in all caps, hot. And then I got on the Zoom and Alex was sitting next to me, and I remember seeing Cole and just being like, who is that? And she's like, I don't know. And then like he smiled, and then I was like, who is that? She's like, I don't know. And I found like his name, and then like found him on Instagram and sent follow, and then I was like, oh, he's the baseball player. Hilarious. Hilarious. Well, I already shot my shot, so he knows. And then later I come to find out that like he was watching me hit Alex, and he was like, there's either like something on my face, or like this girl hates me, or like I don't know, but he could like see me. Because it's like that meditation. Everyone's like sitting and like so still, and I'm here like slapping Alex, like losing my mind. But it's been so beautiful. Like I love the practice so much, and it's so nice having you there leading the charge, and just like feeling so safe in this space to like reflect and to hear how different things affect each other, and like listening to each other, and the reflection is so conducive to growth. So it's just like been so beautiful. I'm so grateful of it.
You're genuinely so kind. I really appreciate those beautiful words, but I find it fascinating that this beautiful relationship for you has evolved. We'll talk about that. But I'm surprised we haven't yet had one. So Joe also comes up with funny Zen names for every episode. So I think we've had Zendaya, we've had I mean, there's so many I'll have to look through, but we haven't had a Vanessa Hudgens. We haven't done that. We haven't done that yet. I'll have to throw that out to him as an option for the next one.
That's hilarious.
He hasn't done that yet.
No.
But when I heard your reflections, I was like, okay, Vanessa's been in this space for a long time, like spirituality, whatever you call it. And I'd love to hear it through your language. I was like, oh, she's an evolved being. This is something she has invested in for many years before this. This is not her first meditation. This is part of her life. When did any of these ideas get introduced to you, and how do they exist in your world? Yeah. I'm genuinely fascinated because I don't think I know.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've always been a meditative person. I remember I used to live in San Diego, and my parents would drive me up to LA all the time for auditions. And it's a long drive, it's like 3.5 hours. And I'm young. I'm probably like 8 years old, 9 years old. And I remember one time just sitting with the window down, like feeling the breeze on my face, just like clear mind, staring out, and my dad being like, "What are you thinking about?" And I was like, literally nothing. And then I think that as I got older, that moment for some reason would come back to me, and I was like, oh man, like, am I stupid? Like, does that mean that I have nothing going on in my mind? And then as I continued to evolve, the more that I realized that was a state of Zen, a state of peace. And like meditation practice is something that has naturally just like come for me. I feel like I started actually getting introduced to it when I was probably 16. I was in Brazil. This was like after High School Musical had come out, and me and Zac Efron were dating, and we went to this island like in Brazil somewhere, and it was a magazine, and they were like, we can offer you yoga classes if you want. And I was like, I've never done that. Like, I'd love to try. I'm always down to try new things. And I remember it was like outside under this canopy of trees, And it was like the first time that I feel like I had a mindful practice where I was like aware of what I was actually doing. And I just became hooked. I remember I was like straight off the bat, I was like, I think I need to become a yoga instructor. I think that's just something that I need to do
One
now.
yoga class. Yeah.
Literally, I was like, I'm sold.
Yeah.
And then I think that like that really led to like mindfulness and like practice. And then when did meditation actually come into play? Honestly, probably Deepak Chopra.
Yeah, Deepak's great.
Yeah, I feel like I came across like an audio something of his on meditations. And I remember doing that and just being like, oh, wow, there's like so much here, and like noticing how it had affected my everyday life and just my state of mind. And yeah, it's like, I feel like the sit down to actually meditate doesn't fully happen that often, which is why I love our Zen zone, because like it gives me a reason to actually do it. But the state of mindfulness, I think, is something that is carried into so many different aspects of spirituality. And spirituality itself has been like such an evolving journey for me. I mean, I remember how old was I? I was filming Journey to the Mysterious Island. And I was on the big island where they shot Jurassic Park. Yeah. And so it's just like beautiful rolling mountains. It's like stunning. And I remember thinking to myself like, oh, like I am spiritual because I can't like relate anymore to religion practices that were instilled with me as a child, but like I feel so much and I know that I'm a part of something bigger, and I feel like vibration of the land, and I just feel connected to spirit. And then that itself has evolved so much. And like, I feel like I'm back at that place where I'm like, I am very, very spiritual. I take time to connect to my spirit, but also spirit around me. And I make sure I take time to connect to nature, and I give praise when magic happens, because it happens all the time, and I feel like it's so important to acknowledge it and to give it gratitude, because then it starts coming into your life so much more. It's really insane once you start acknowledging them, how like it's an abundance of magic.
Wow. Wow, that's contagious. I'm literally hearing you say that and I'm like, that is so infectious.
It's so true though. Yeah. And like, it's so beautiful, because then you're filling your life with like these moments of wonder.
Yeah.
And like, I think that's so important as an adult, because as children, we have that all the time.
Yeah.
But like, as you grow up, you kind of forget how important it is to have that.
Yeah.
I'm like such a big kid.
Yeah.
That like, she's always like a child at heart.
Yeah.
But like, wonderment, I think, is something that's so important for the soul.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah. I love that. And I think when I think about wonder and childlikeness, it's the same as what I feel my wife's brought back into my life.
Love that.
And I felt for so long I started to take life too seriously, or I was very focused, and
man needs a good woman to bring him back.
Absolutely, 1,000%. And my wife has just brought this like childlike energy back into my life.
I love that.
And it's something you have to protect.
Totally.
I feel like the childlike energy is something you have to nurture and protect in yourself, in the people you love.
Totally.
People around you.
Even your inner child. Like, I remember that being like a big wake up moment for me. I think it was in like Larry Moss's acting classes. I was doing like one of his intensive workshops, and he talks about how important it is to like nurture your inner child, because we all have that. We all have that like little boy or girl inside of us that's like kind of scared at times, but is like so explorative and like has wonderment, but you have to nurture that. And if you don't, like it gets neglected. And you can't neglect your inner child.
Definitely not. Definitely not. Do you think that's for yourself, like you've been in the industry a long time now, since you were extremely young, and I feel like you've been great at like navigating it with grace and pivoting and figuring things out. And obviously from the time we've been getting to know each other through Zen Zone and even today, I can tell that there's so much thoughtfulness and so much clarity for you. Do you think that nurturing that inner child is what has helped you navigate a very tough industry, or what has that been? What has helped you?
I feel like that's definitely part of it,
Yeah.
for sure, because it allows me to stay extraordinarily passionate about my loves, which is like everything, you know, like in my work and in my life and in the way I spend my time. But I think the thing that honestly has kept me going is accepting change and evolving and knowing that evolution is like a positive thing, and leaning into the like scary things that like could hurt me, and like just constantly reevaluating what it is to be a human in this experience, and like who do I want to be? Because like that's genuinely like a choice. We have so many choices every single day on like how we build our character, how we present ourselves to the world. And like I feel like I've had multiple moments where I've had to like really look at myself and reassess and say, what kind of woman do I want to be? And like, who am I truly? Like, what is my core? What are my values? And I feel like it's just allowed me to feel really confident and strong in who I am as a person. Because I think that's where a lot of people have difficulties in Hollywood, because you end up like morphing into different people, because it's a tough grind, but
it is because people morph into the roles they play.
Totally.
They morph into the role they have to play and portray.
Totally.
They morph into the role that their manager or their agent thinks they need to be.
Yeah.
Or the person who came before them that they're trying to be like.
Totally.
So there's all these identities that, you're trying to morph into, that it's hard to remember your own, I guess. What was a formative experience at a younger age that you think has given you a sense of groundedness as you've gone on? Were there any formative experiences as you grew up, at any point in your childhood or early teenage years?
I don't know why. I don't know if this is like actually at all relevant.
The first is the best.
Yeah. I was the kid that loved playing in the dirt. You know, like I was always the kid that was like in the garden, like grabbing like pieces of plants and like smushing them together and like having the flowers and like doing like little collages in the dirt. Like I've always like I feel like I've always felt very connected to earth. And I look back at it now and I'm just like, it's so funny because now I like love practicing like witchcraft and having rituals and like playing and being a part of earth and connecting with it is such a big part of it. And I'm just like, oh wow, she was always there.
Yeah.
She was always there. She was always playing in the dirt. But yeah, like I feel like I also was raised in a way where like my parents didn't have a lot. My dad was a firefighter. My mom was from the Philippines, like came out to the States when she was 24 with my dad. And it was like the first man she'd ever even been with, like first guy she ever kissed, like crazy. But I was raised very modestly. So I think that like that definitely shaped me into who I am, because I'm very mindful about like where I spend my money and like what I'm doing with it, and like but like it also I think makes me work harder and want to do the work myself, do the dirty work. Hey, was bringing it back to the dirt.
I love it.
But yeah, like because that's just like my character. That's how I was raised.
Yeah, that's beautiful to hear. And I'm going to ask you now to define what witchcraft is for the for those who may not be aware, and those rituals, because I think as you say those words, I'd love for you to extrapolate them, because I've seen you post when you get new tattoos and like and it's cool, but I'd love for you to explain that to those that don't know.
I think like being a witch genuinely is like so many different things for each person. To me, it's a mindfulness for sure. It's connecting to your elements. It's about understanding the fact that everything is energetic and we can push and pull things if we set our mind to it and ask for it. It's a lot of manifesting, which I love. And rituals are like, I love like a full moon ritual where I'll like sage my space and like cleanse my energy and my aura, and then like ask my angels and my ancestors and my spirit guides to be there with me and to help carry out my message. And then like honestly writing things down on some bay leaves and burning them is really exciting because it burns and like it's like it really catches flame. It feels magical. But like it's like connecting to earth and like to spirit and like tapping in, because I feel like you really can.
I mean, I love hearing that because I think when people hear the word witchcraft or witches, we have a very dated view. Of
stigmatized view of where you hear a witch and like people are like, burn her at the stake.
Exactly. And I mean, I grew up in London where one of the attractions to visit as a tourist was the London dungeons. And so you'd go to see these London dungeons and they would show you how women, and mainly women, who are wrongly accused of being witches, and of course witches in the stigmatized or the negative sense as we've seen portrayed in movies and things like that. And you would see how they'd be burned and the kind of dungeons that they had to stay in and the states they had to stay in. And now obviously when you say the word, you're looking at it from like the good witch, like, you know, like the witch of manifestation and joy and kindness. And
I feel like that's the modern witch.
Yes. And redefining that word is so important because
it really is.
Language, I think today is so much of the reason we have disagreements.
100%.
And one of the reasons why we don't understand each other. And when you started explaining what a witch is, I'm like, that's like, what's the witch in...
Glinda.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking of. You read my mind. That's it. And I was like, she was a witch and she's called a witch in the movie.
She is.
But when you think about it, the witch you remember is not her, right? And so it's so fascinating when you think about it from that way. I love those rituals you just walked us through. When you're doing those rituals or when you've built those practices up, what has given you strength to believe that they have an impact? Is it something you feel? Is it something you've heard? Is it a connection? Like how do you go, yes, this works for me. This matters in my life?
I feel like it's such an intuitive thing.
Yes.
And like I said, I was the little girl playing in the dirt,
so
mushing up herbs
connected.
And it does. It feels really grounding and connecting to me. And like I've manifested for years, and like if you're very clear and intentional on what you want, you have a much better chance at getting it.
Can you tell us a manifestation story? Can you tell us one that you feel is worth sharing?
I mean, like even like Cole, like I was very clear, very intentional about what it is exactly.
Tell us what you're intentional about. I want to know.
It's like, I was like, I want someone who, oh man, I wish I literally have like a list.
Okay.
It was, I want someone who loves themselves wholeheartedly, someone who understands the importance of like having a good time, someone who has like the right priorities in life, you know, like has the same fundamentals as me, which is like you don't live to work. No. You don't live to work, you work to live.
Yes.
Yeah. Like someone who understands like the importance of life outside of work. There's a whole list. But literally when I met Cole, I was like, you literally check all my boxes.
What I love about your list though, and that's why I asked you, because I expected that your list, that is the most mature, refined list I have ever heard of.
Thank
you. Because most lists do not go that deep. Like that is a very genuinely, and I'm not saying this to flatter you at all. I'm genuinely saying it because I hear a lot of lists in my coaching work and when I'm with clients and over the years, people that I've worked with, and lists. Those are all like incredible attributes which show your self-awareness of who you are and what you need in your life. But they're also not so specifically defined that it's kind of very difficult that exists.
Totally,
if that makes sense. It's not like I want this and I want that and he should have this. It's not stuff about he should have.
No.
It's about his mindset and his belief system. Walk us through, how do you assess, and assess is the wrong word because in a relationship, you're not assessing someone. How do you engage with someone in a way to know that those things exist within them? And I'm asking you this for yourself because I find that sometimes people may make a list or they have a list. And first of all, I would like to remind anyone, if you are going to make a list, think about Vanessa's list and just think about how I'm trying to find the right word to define your list. I would say that it is extremely mindset based and it's extremely an approach to life. You're looking with someone who has a specific approach to life. It's not that they have a specific life.
That's very true.
Right? Does that make sense?
100%.
And so how did you ascertain that Cole had some of these things? Because I think what often happens is when we get attracted to someone or we feel a sense of infatuation or we feel some chemistry or a spark with someone, often that ability to ascertain whether we're really going to be a good match goes out the window.
Totally.
How are you able to hold both? Because I think we do need attraction and chemistry. Of course we do.
Yeah, 100%.
But at the same time, you're saying, well, I was able to assess that he does have certain traits.
I mean, I was in an 8-year-long relationship before him. So after that, I was like, okay, we're getting serious. Like, we are going to make a list of things that I need, like genuinely, like not want, but actually need. And with some of it, it was being very straightforward with like my questions as to like how he goes about life. And then in other ways, it was just like really observing him and like genuinely his approach to life. Like he has like an infectious spirit. And I'm like, that is something that is so beautiful and so wonderful. And I'm like, I see myself in that as well. But like, we just like had the same spirit. And I think that like straight off the bat, I was very forthright with like what it is that I want in a relationship. And like, I was like, cool, so you're down. You're into those things as well. Love that. But like just being very straightforward. Like, you plan on getting married one day? Like, you plan on having kids? You like kids? What's your relationship with your parents? Like, what's your relationship with your friends? How do you enjoy your work? Like, everything, just like diving in, because like if you don't, like those things get lost in the shuffle and then you end up investing time on people that you shouldn't.
Is that date one?
That might have been date two. Might have been date two.
I am so happy hearing you say that. I just want everyone to know that while we're having this conversation, I do not know this story in depth the way Vanessa's explaining it. So this is also my first reaction to it. I am so happy hearing you say that. Like it gives me so much assurance and confidence in what I hope people will do to find love in their life. I did the same with Radhi. We had the same conversations. We talked about children, we talked about our values, we talked about our beliefs, we talked about expectations. I was very clear with Radhi of the man that I think I am and the man that I didn't want to be. I was clear about what my aspirations and priorities were and what I wouldn't be able to prioritize. And it was uncomfortable to say those things because you're scared that like, well, maybe this person's going to run away when they hear what I'm actually like. But then if they stay, then they actually signed on for that.
And it's like you give, like my sister actually does a podcast as well. And I was like listening to it the other day and she was like, it's so important to like tell your friends or your partner if something's bothering you, because then you give them the opportunity to adjust. Like otherwise they don't know. Shout out Stella.
Shout out Stella. What's her podcast called?
That's crazy.
That's crazy. Okay, listen to that episode. What was the episode about? It was about this?
What was that one about? Just like friends and like, you know, feeling FOMO. It was FOMO.
No, because it's also just like, I know that we got a message. I think you sent it to my team saying, can I bring Darla today? And I love that you said that. And I'm so glad she came because I would have been so sad if I as a friend, it's like if you felt that, but then you didn't tell me.
Yeah, totally.
Right? Like,
totally.
and if I didn't know, and then
you
like,
gotta ask.
you just gotta know. Like, and I'm so happy she's here, and I'm so happy to meet her. And and when you told me the reason, you're like, I've been traveling and I haven't seen her for. I'm like, that is so beautiful. Like, why would you not? But we're so scared of showing that side of ourselves to someone, of being like, this is what I need, or
and
this
like
is what I want.
Honoring our truths.
Yes.
I think like it's so easy to disregard our truths when you like have a thought and you're like, oh, like I wish that this would happen, and like, but no, like it shouldn't matter. Like it's okay, it's fine. I don't really care. And like you don't honor your truth. And so I feel like it's something that you have to be actually mindful about, and to like really listen to your intuition and like your inner voice, your inner child. Like you really have to like honor all of yourself, because if you're not, then you're suppressing yourself, and then it's going to seem okay for someone else to suppress you because you're doing it to yourself.
Yes. Wow. That's so true.
Yeah.
That is so true.
And then that's just like a toxic. It starts off toxic.
Absolutely. And that's the point, right? It's like if you plant a toxic seed,
exactly,
like that's what's going to grow.
Yes.
And it's really hard to then switch to a rose bush or to grow a beautiful tree or plant or whatever it is. Like, I wonder then, how do you then navigate, obviously when you do that, when you are like, well, here's what I'm looking for, and here's what's important to me. How do you then navigate it when you don't necessarily align or agree? How have you dealt with that? Because I think that's another healthy thing to think about. I think we often have this romantic view of manifestation.
Totally.
And I don't think that's what you're suggesting. But I think a lot of people have this romantic view that when you're clear, you get exactly what you want the way you want it. I don't think that's what you're saying.
No. That's definitely not the case as well. Like, I think that like everything does come back.
Yes.
Not always in the way that you expect it to.
Exactly.
Not always at the time that you want it to, but it always does in one form or the other. And I truly believe that. And I like see that happening, because sometimes I'll ask for something and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so funny. That's not like how I expected it to come. Like on our Zoom, like finding love on Zoom.
Finding love on Zoom on a tiny little like screen.
Not like at all what I was like expecting at all, but like it's the best thing that's ever happened to me. So I feel like it always comes back around. But like the mindfulness is like so important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love hearing about it, and I can't wait to see you both together. And I can't wait to finally hang out with Cole, who, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know, he'll join the meditation when he's like on the field. Like he'll be like in the stands. He'll be, walking to a game, like he'll be driving to a game, whatever it is. And he's always on. And I think there's so much to be said for that as well, to find people in places of similar values.
100%.
Like I've always been a great encourager of that, is that you're going to find people when you're doing things that you're both passionate about, 100%. And you're not going there to date. Like,
it's so funny. I literally was on the phone with my friend Vince this morning, and I was thinking about it, and I was like, it's so funny because I feel like all my best relationships have like such an interesting like story as to how we met. Like my friend Vince, who I was on the phone with, we met in a yoga class.
Wow.
And he's like one of my best friends. My other best friend, Gigi, we met like in Bali because I was there with Oakley, like doing a surf thing, even though I'm not a surfer, but I'm like, I'm all about like trying new things and having new experiences, because I feel like it builds character, and it's also just like a great time.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But like, it was like one of those moments as well. And then like me and Gigi sat across from each other at the table, and we like locked eyes, and we were like, I see you. I see you in a way that's like different. Like my soul sees you.
Yeah.
And like, it's just so many of my relationships. I'm like, it's just so funny how like you put yourself into the right place in a place of love, and you will attract it.
Yeah, definitely. And this is Gigi you do workouts with, right?
Yes.
That's
me and Gigi do a lot of things together.
Yeah.
We got a lot of things in the work. During quarantine, we like really put our minds together, and we're like, let's be creative. Like let's keep the ball rolling. And we developed an animated show. We developed like a reality show for ourselves.
Oh, very
and
cool.
We like wrote a feature with our friend, and we were just like,
That's amazing.
I know, but like all because we sat across from each other in Bali.
That's incredible. And I love that that's a recurring pattern in your life.
Oh, completely.
That the deepest relationships you have, whether it's Vince or Gigi, as you said, and now Cole, that they've come from these places where you weren't looking for that.
Yeah.
And so I think we often hear this idea of like, you don't have to look for love. And that's not what we're saying. What we're saying is that you often find it in a place of mutual value.
When you're loving yourself and honoring yourself.
Yeah. That's the key.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. And so much happens when you spend time in places of purpose.
Totally.
Like, I feel like when you're going there for a purpose-based reason, you're more likely to have this synergy happen with a human.
Oh my gosh, the amount of stuff that happened to me when I went to Paris for Fashion Week on my own was like, just what? I felt like I had tea for months. But like, it was just so cool because I'm like, Paris Fashion Week is something that I wanted to go to for a long time. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go on my own because like, it'll really like put me in there. And I love that. Like, I love those solo moments where I'm just like out there in the wilderness on my own, and like you meet people and like connect with people. And I'm like, some of my favorite memories that I've had like have been because I've gone places on my own.
Wow. What's given you that? I love hearing that because I'm the kind of person. So Radhi's been away for 3 months and we haven't seen each other. I miss her. Yeah.
Oh my God. I hate that so much.
And she's coming back in a month and I miss her. So it'll be 4 months since we've seen each other. And I cannot wait. I'm about to throw her a party when she comes back and like full on, like, you know, we're going to go away and all the rest of it, catch up and make up for lost time. But I find that I'm the kind of person that will take myself out for a 3-course meal and like go away and go out or whatever it is. What has given you the confidence in doing things alone? Because I think that is such a healthy habit.
Totally.
I'm not saying that people should spend all the time alone and not have friends.
No.
But how have you developed that habit? Is it just by practice? Is it just by throwing yourself out there? Or now it sounds like it's something you intentionally do, like Paris Fashion Week. I'm sure you could have taken anyone you wanted to take, but you went on your own. Like.
I feel like my first solo trip was when I was like, it was right after I did a stint of like really heavy, emotionally demanding movies. I think Gimme Shelter was the last one of that. And I came home and I like genuinely did not know who Vanessa was. I had like gotten so off on becoming this other person and like genuinely changed my mindset, the way that I looked. I put on like 20 pounds, cut off all my hair, like all the things that made me were not there anymore. And I was like, I need to do something because I'm like scared because I don't know who I am. And I was like, okay, we're going to go on a yoga retreat. My publicist at the time was like, there's this retreat. They're doing it at the Four Seasons. It was like a practice. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to like go on my own because that scares me. And I was very much in that place of like, do the things that scare you because you will evolve. Like you're forced to. And I was like, you know, like a yoga retreat in Hawaii, like that gives me an excuse to be in Hawaii. But also like have something to do and like know that I'll be around people because like filming as well as an adult, like when I hit 18 I would go off to film things all the time and I would be on my own and so like if I wanted to go to dinner, like a lot of times I would just go by myself and like bring a book, and like I definitely would have those moments where I'm like looking around like kind of trying to like lock eyes and engage with anyone. Preferably would sit at the bar so I could like talk to the bartender because like I love people, like I love just like talking to people.
But you start using a different part of your brain when you do that. Like you start using a different part of your energy where it's like, oh, I'm going to see if I can make something out of nothing. That's
exactly.
a mindset that you lose as we get older.
That's very
because
true.
most of your life is surrounded by the same people, same work people, same life people. And so like when you're like, oh, I'm trying to talk to the bartender, or I'm trying to lock, even the idea of locking eyes with someone random,
oh my gosh,
it like overcomes a fear. Yeah, but it's like
my favorite thing. I literally will like be driving and like will like turn and just like look at people if I'm stopped at a red light and like try to like dance with people. The other day, this guy was like listening to a song. We had our windows down. He had his windows down, and me and my girlfriend were just like body rolling, like just like locking eyes, trying to make this person laugh. Like it's, I love that. But the yoga retreat in Hawaii ended up just being like so freeing, because I was just like, okay, like I'm here on my own. Like I'm just going to like talk to people that I connect with and like go from there, and like genuinely forced me to stay as present as possible because I was engaging with people I know nothing about. I feel like that's the thing I love about talking to people that you don't know. Like you're forced to be present because it's like if you're actually trying to engage, which not everybody does, you know? But then those are the people you don't need to engage with. But when you find people who you can, like you're so present because you're actually listening.
What I love about hearing about your life, that I'm learning about you today by being present with you, is just you are very present because you have all these beautiful memories. And I find like these are not ideas in your life, or they're not like just concepts that you intellectually understand. It's like, I feel like your whole life is an experience. Like you're like, oh, I went to Fashion Week because of this, and I was in this place because, to have deep memories, you have to be deeply present.
Totally.
Because otherwise you forget where you were last week or where you were even yesterday.
Totally.
And so how have you become more present? I mean, how have you practiced that, or you've been like that? Obviously it sounds like, but it also sounds like it's very intentional again. Like how have you raising your presence when you're in a space or in an environment?
I think like honestly, it's come from the reflection and growth that I've done to like actually have confidence in myself, to like feel like I can take up as much space or as little space as I want, and knowing that I have that choice. I've always been a very present person, and I think that I've positioned myself now, like it's taken so many years of like reflection and growth and like doing all the uncomfortable work to shape me into the person that I am. And I look back and I'm like, I'm so grateful for all of it. I'm so grateful for all the icky times, because there's a lot of icky times in life. But like by leaning in and like not putting them into like a storage unit in my mind, but like actually processing them and like growing and evolving from it has allowed me to like have confidence in myself, because I'm just like, I know that I'm enough, like, and I'm like, I know that like my point on life is beautiful, and I know that like what I want to contribute to people and to the world is beautiful, and so I'm like, it's all good, babe. Like, it's all good.
And that's the thing, right? Like when you make sense of your inner world on your own,
totally,
that's where it has to click.
100%. Because if it clicks for me, then like it's okay if it doesn't click for everybody. But like I know that like I'm locked in. Yeah.
If you know, I always say to people, like, if you have a decision or a choice you want to make, and if you know why you're doing it, and you're clear on that, it will not bother you if other people don't understand.
Exactly.
But if you don't know why you're doing it, then it just like, and that's what I'm hearing from you. It's that inner click has fit for you. And it sounds like during the pandemic, you were extremely innovative, collaborative. Seemed like you were doing a lot of cool stuff. We both share this in common. We both launched a different type of beverage line during the pandemic. And afterwards, you launched Cali Water, which is amazing. And I want to hear about just when I first saw it, I was like, cactus water. I was like, that is so unique. Like it is so different. I didn't even know, I mean, this is going to sound really silly, but I was like, I didn't even know you could get cactus water.
No, totally. Like,
and I have cactus in my house. So I'm like, I had no idea.
Like, if I cut you, can I drink you?
Yeah, exactly. But walk us through some of the, and that's one of them. I'm sure there's plenty of others, but where did those ideas and innovations start? Because that requires such a different mindset. And it sounds like you had this space to be innovative and creative. You said you were doing work with Gigi, but you're also doing this.
I love a collaboration. I live for a collaboration, because I'm like, I know what I can bring to the table, and then you collaborate with people who knows what they can bring to the table, and it's like, you guys have fun doing it together. Yeah, okay, go. And that's literally how I feel like all my business ventures have been. You know, with Cali Water, it was our friend Oliver Trevina.
Shout out Oliver.
who is my business partner, and like he came to me and he was like, we need to like do something together. And he was like, we could do like beverages, and he's like, there's like cactus, there's something there. And like I went to New Mexico on a road trip and was drinking prickly pear margaritas, and I was like, what is this heavenly nectar, and like why do I know nothing about it? And then started like researching what prickly pear is, and then like realized all the health benefits, and then like we're like, okay, cool, so like that's like a thing, there's something there. And then like him like taking the reins and putting together an incredible team to like put together this drink and like bring it to life, and then like me doing like the creative and like the tastings, and I'm like, nah, it's a little off, like I need something more of this, like maybe a little like more monk fruit, or like like something, and I then love like monk fruit, by packaging the way, so I do too, but it's just like it's such a fun creative outlet for me that like I really enjoy. Like it's so stimulating to me and exciting, and it's just like really cool being able to be passionate about something and then like sharing that passion with the masses. It's awesome. No, I highly recommend everyone grabs one, because I just love seeing people find multiple ways to express themselves 100%,
and not being scared and not feeling limited by like, oh, I'm an actress, I should be that, or like I'm a this. I'm like, but we're all just creative artists, individuals. 100%. And when we can just like paint through every single color and every single brush, there's nothing wrong with that. And I think it should be encouraged more. And I think often we feel limited and restricted by what we think people will think and what they will say. Literally. And we stop realizing that we just have to color more and paint more and get out there more. Is there something you do to tap into more creativity or innovation? Is there any habits or any rituals you have, or is that also same connected with doing the intuitive work?
It's literally all intuitive, I feel. And it's like it's the magic thing, I think, that like when I'm doing things that I'm inspired to do and I honor those inspirations, the thrill and the fulfillment that comes along with it is like what I imagine it's like to have kids. It's like, because you're putting like such a vulnerable piece of uniquely you into something, and then sharing it. And so it's like, it's such a vulnerable thing. Like I came up with like a reality show for me and Gigi, and I'm like, it's so funny because I, like 15 years ago, would be like, I would never do a reality show. Like, I am a serious actress. But this show, like, I came up with it. Like, I birthed it from my mind. And I was just like, this is something that I love and, like, would love to do, because I feel like it would be hilarious and a great time. But
you guys
also,
are really
like,
funny together.
We're hysterical. I'm like, we gotta have something. But, like, also so creative and like down to what we're wearing in our show and like who we're partnered with, and like just putting on the business hat. Like it's really exciting. I'm like, she's a woman, like she's making moves. Just because I'm like leaning into my interest and like honoring the ideas that I have rather than like pushing them down.
And the show's happening?
You're
making it happen. You're making it happen.
We're waiting on someone at the moment.
It takes time.
But like, it's been so exciting because we've like literally gotten so many of our ducks in the row where we're like, this would be the dream. And then like it's falling into place. And like,
I love that.
It's just so nice because I'm doing it all like with people that I love.
Yeah. I love hearing about ideas when they're being formed.
Yeah.
Because it's special. Like we usually hear about like, oh, we just made
After
this show and it's out.
Yeah.
And then it's like, but this is the part that's so interesting, because it's like, well, we did this and now we did this and we're waiting for this and we're figuring this out.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that everyone who's listening or watching is hearing it going, oh, that's normal. Like,
it literally stems from an idea.
Yeah.
Like, what if? And then like building it off of there. And like, that's why I love doing things with my friends, because the snowballing is so real, you know? Like, is that what that's called?
Yeah.
Snowballing?
Yeah.
And it's just like the best thing, because like even like the feature that we did, like it was me, Gigi, and our friend Asha, who it has written for like American Horror Story, and like we love American Horror Story, and it totally fits with the vibe of like our idea. And she was like, "You guys want to write a feature?" And we were like, yeah. And then we were like, okay, so what if it starts here and it's about like these 4 witches, and like it just snowballs from there.
Wow.
And it's just like, it's so cool because I feel like everything that I'm doing is something that I'm like so passionate about. And like I'm really like carving out time to like stay super engaged in everything that I'm doing, and not just like taking a back seat.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Like, how are you? And I can see that. I mean, everything we've spoken about today, I can tell how passionate you are about it. Like it just comes through naturally.
Yeah.
Like, it's in flow, it's in your heart, it's there. So that's so evident to me as someone who I feel like I live a very similar life in that I do a lot of different things that I'm passionate about. How are you prioritizing, making time to do all of that? Like what works for you? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people going, oh, wow, like, you know, Vanessa's doing a ton of stuff. I mean, she has new movies coming out. She's doing this, and she's doing this, and she's building this. Like, how do you make sense of doing so many different things, and how do you balance it? Because you're still working out, you're still doing your own personal practices. How are you balancing and managing that all?
I think it's about like really honoring my needs and like having a strong priority list. I feel like right now I'm being very clear and intentional with my career. In acting, I'm not doing anything unless like it pushes me in a new way, challenges me in a new way, or it's with people that I can work with that I like really respect and I know will help me evolve and grow. Otherwise, I'm like, I only want to be doing things that like I'm producing because then I'm like, I have like a say on the story and like the way that it looks and like the way that it's shot. And, like, you know, like I can be like so much more creative to like the overall outcome of the movie, because a lot of times like so many things end up on the cutting room floor, and like that's fine, but you're like, you watch it and you're like, oh, they went with that take, interesting. And you've like no say over it.
Yeah, and that's hard. It's hard. Yeah, it's
tough.
really hard.
But like I'm like, as a producer, I like can come in and like can help like build out projects, and like I can actually dream them up myself and like bring them to the table, and like find producers that I really respect and admire, and like use their minds to like snowball with, and see how we can work together to bring it to life. And I just feel like it's so much more fulfilling for me as an actress to be able to be a part of that creative. Which is why I'm like, one day I will direct, because I'm like, it's something that I love so much. And I'm like, my point of view is, I think, not what a lot of people would think because they did like get to know me from High School Musical. I'm like, my taste is like weird and it's trippy and it's dark sometimes. So I'm like, that's something that I would love to eventually get to. But like, I have that aspect of my life, and then I have like the business side of things where I'm like making sure. I just got an assistant like for the first time.
Wow.
Because I was like, I am too busy and I need to like honor my time, and like I need help. I was just like doing everything on my own.
Wow.
But so like I have her, and I'm like, now I'm like every top of the week I'm like, okay, we need to check in with these people, like set up calls, and we'll get it done. And I make sure to check in with all the businesses, like see what they need, see where we're at, and then like making sure that I have my me time, which is hard because I feel like the me time also funnels into like my relationship, because that is what I want. Like I want to be with my partner, but I'm like also, my work, I feel, also drives my slight me time too, because I'm like, I'm here in LA. I'm not with him at the moment because I have things that I'm doing here, and like my Fabletics collection is coming out in April, and I'm like, that is something that I like designed myself.
That's
like
amazing.
Another full creativity step. But I'm like here, and I like get to talk about it, and like I feel like it's just so, like I said, so nice to have these things that I'm like putting a lot of myself into and being able to talk about them and like share them with others. And like, hopefully that connects me with other people who are like-minded as well, you know?
Well, all I experience from you today is this abundance. Like there's an abundance of creativity in your life. There's an abundance of expression. There's also an abundance of like genuine confidence in who you are and how you show up and everything you're doing. And I love seeing it. Like it's so fun. I find it so fun to observe that in someone.
Yeah, totally.
Because I appreciate that it's taken work and that it's not something that person was just given.
Totally.
And so, just viewing you today and observing you today, I'm like, it's amazing. It's electric to experience that through someone.
Thank you.
And I congratulate you for all those aspects.
Oh, thank you.
Because I'm sure there's lots of people listening and watching going, oh, I can be everything I want to be.
Yeah,
like, I can.
You can.
Yeah. It's
you
okay.
can.
Yeah, it's okay. Like it's
totally.
not, we don't have to choose anymore, and you don't have to limit yourself.
You can be everything, and that was like a big wake up call for me. I was like, no one is one thing.
Yeah,
like
we're
so allowed, and like it should be celebrated to be as many different things as you can be, as long as they're honest and truthful and like coming from within, not from an idea of what you think you should be doing.
That's it.
Yeah.
Vanessa, you've been so generous with your time.
I'm like, I could sit here and talk forever.
I can continue talking for hours. I know you've been traveling. I know you've been moving around. I know you're catching up. So I want to express to you so much gratitude from my heart for your time, your energy, turning up to the Zen zones, your friendship, your reflections in the Zen zones. Like I always feel like you'll come in and you'll open up, and then everyone else feels inspired to open up some more as well. And even today, like it has truly been wonderful to witness just what exudes from you. And I really appreciate that.
I appreciate you.
Oh, you're very kind. Thank you. And
we all do. We all do.
Send those witch energies out. But we end every On Purpose episode with what we call the final 5. These are 5 fast questions that have to be answered in 1 word to 1 sentence maximum.
Love it. Yes.
You can take your time to think about them, but the answers are tired.
Yeah.
So, all right. So the first question is, what is the best advice you've ever received or heard?
In this moment of my life where I am, just honor yourself.
That's great advice. We've never had that before on the show. That's great advice.
It's a good short sentence too.
It is. It's beautiful. It's easy to remember.
Yeah. Because I feel like it's so easy to not in so many different aspects. Yeah. And it's like, if you actually do, then like you can like live your truth. And that's what we're all trying to do, right?
I love that. Question number 2. What is the worst advice you've ever received or heard?
Like maybe always say yes.
That's good.
I feel like saying yes can like definitely be a wonderful thing, but I think it's what you say no to that shapes your character.
That's great advice. I really like that. That's beautiful. See? This is good. It's good. I like it. Yeah. The stillness is good.
It takes a sec.
It does. Okay. Question number 3. How would you define your current purpose or the current impact you're trying to have in the world? And set it up.
To spread joy. Honestly.
Yeah.
I feel like I have an abundance of it. So I'm like, if I can share it, that's like the most beautiful thing I can offer.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. All right. Question number 4. What's the first thing you do in the morning and the last thing you do at night?
Oh, God, I hate my answer. But if I'm going to answer truthfully, it's probably like, well, it depends on where I am.
Yes. Okay.
Like if I'm with Darla, I like just find her and like hold her.
A little cuddle, yeah.
Yes, have a little cuddle. And like, I think I'm a big like deep breather in the morning. Like get back into breath. But like check my phone.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's fair.
But it also like depends like on if I'm on my own or if I'm with Cole.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, if I'm with him, then it's like, my first thing is like, gratitude and just like love. If I'm on my own, I'm just like, okay, what do we got, Vanessa?
It's beautiful. Thank you for the honesty, but I also like the mix of answers. Mm-hmm. All right, 5th and final question. If you could create one law that everyone in the world had to follow or one habit that everyone had to do every day, what would it be?
Think before you speak.
Oh, wow. That was quick.
I don't know if that's like that's just the first one that pops into my mind. No, but like it's I feel like we all could navigate through life a bit better if we really stopped to like really think before we spoke and be impeccable with your word.
Yes.
I'm just going to go into the 4 agreements real quick. Don't mind me.
Great book. Yeah.
Great book. Changed my life.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like, I don't know, I'm such a lover. And it really bums me out when people get into arguments and they say things that they don't mean because they're not thinking before they speak. Yeah. And like the miscommunication that comes along with it, it's just like, it's heartbreaking to me. To me, when relationships can be like just deeply tarnished in those moments of like heightened emotion.
Yeah. Just because we didn't
pause.
You're so right.
Yeah.
I feel like relationships are ruined just because we didn't breathe.
Yeah, literally.
We didn't pause.
Yeah.
We didn't take that moment of stillness to respond and not react.
Yeah.
And you destroy lifelong relationships because you misinterpreted a word or you misunderstood an emotion or you misconstrued a feeling. It's incredible.
But also like just speak your mind. I think
so. The balance.
It's like the balance of it, because I feel like growing up in the industry is like tough. Mm-hmm. This is not an answer. We said one sentence and now I'm like going.
We're unpacking.
Like growing up in the industry is tough, and I feel like it was really easy for me to just like put on my professional face because like I was doing what I loved at like such an early age. So for me, I was like, okay, like this is my adult voice, like this is my adult thoughts, and it was like so easy for me to like not just like speak up. And like I said, like if you're suppressing one aspect of yourself, then like it dripples into everything. And I feel like in relationships through the years, like I look back and I'm like, there's so many moments where I'm like, if I just would have like spoken up and like said how I've actually felt, like so much pain and like tears could have been avoided. But like by going through that, like I now know like how important it is to like speak up and like honor yourself because of the times that I didn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it any easier. Like, it's still like something that like even I have to like be like, ooh, okay, brave face. We're talking about this now.
Yeah.
Go. I like genuinely have to hype myself up for.
Yeah.
But I feel like so many women get into relationships where they're suppressing themselves, and like, or probably men too, you know, like, and I'm so about like living as openly and freely and truthfully as possible, because that's where I feel like the magic sits, the creativity sits, like that's where there's an abundance of all of it. So I think it's so important to like push yourself to get there.
That is a beautiful thing to end on. Like, that is such a great, like, grounding message for us to throw out into the world. Vanessa, as I said before, I'm so grateful for your time.
I'm so grateful
for your energy, your
time.
presence, just what you brought to this today, for bringing Darla, who's having a little wonderful night. Darla, do you have anything you'd like to say? Any message for our audience?
I love life.
That's a great message. And I want to thank everyone who's been listening and watching today. And what I'd love for you to do is tag Vanessa and I when you share the messages that resonated, the magic that came through, the maybe ideas or insights that Vanessa mentioned that you're going to try and practice and apply in your life. I love knowing what you're switching from information to action. That gives me so much joy knowing that you listen to this podcast, but then you make a shift in your life. Please tag me and Vanessa on all social media platforms to let us know what's resonating with you and what's connecting with you. Keep listening to On Purpose, and please go and shower Vanessa with so much love. She has so much exciting stuff coming up, whether it's her new line with Fabletics, whether it's Cali Water. This is probably going to come out later, but she hosted the pre-show at the Oscars. I'm just so excited to see what you're going to continue to do. I'm excited for this movie you're going to direct in the future. I'm excited for this reality show. But more than anything, I'm really excited to deepen our friendship, our connection with Cole as well, with Radhi too.
Yeah.
And